everyone, I'm your host Neha and you're tuned into Durian Dreaming, the show that brings you extraordinary stories from seemingly ordinary experiences in Indonesia's fast-paced market. Let's dive into today's conversation with another inspiring guest. Today on Durian Dreaming, we are thrilled to welcome Dr. Jasmine Carsono. She's a director of product portfolio and services at Kimia Pharma. Kimia Pharma is Indonesia's most trusted healthcare companies. Jasmine's journey started in the lab. She's a PhD in biochemistry, and it evolved through 2 decades at Procter & Gamble across Europe and Asia. She now leads innovation at Kimia Pharma and brought in Indonesia's first TB scan radiopharmaceutical to market. She's a rare mix of scientist, strategist, and a storyteller with a deep passion for making healthcare more accessible and more human. Hi, Jasmine. Welcome to Durian Dreaming. We are very excited to have you with us on a podcast.
Thank you so much, Neha, for having me. Hope you're fine.
Yes, everything is going well. Jakarta is a great place. Jasmine,
That's
you
good.
have had a very interesting career journey. You are a PhD from University of California, right?
Yes, that's true.
And then you went on to join Procter & Gamble.
That's true also.
So did you plan this career or did it just unfold?
No, actually, I did not really plan on joining a multinational company. So I went to the US for my college years. So I did my bachelor's, my master's, my PhD all in the US. And after I was done, I was thinking of I wanted to be a researcher. I wanted to go into academia. I want to win a Nobel Prize, that sort of thing. And so going into corporate world, multinational was not, especially FMCG, was not really my first aim actually when I came out of school. And so a friend of mine told me that, you know what, there's an opening in P&G. Why don't you apply? And I'm like, oh, I don't know. It's a FMCG. I don't really want to move to Ohio, that kind of thing. So, and then I said, you know what? I'm going to try and apply anyway. So I applied. Long story short, I got the job. It was for a scientist position in Indonesia. So I moved back to Indonesia from San Francisco.
Oh,
And I
wow.
said to myself, okay, it's a clinical and regulatory development organization. And I said, yeah, maybe I'll stay for 1 or 2 years and I'll go back to academia. Well, those 1 or 2 years became 21 and a half years.
So tell me something, usually when people study abroad, and I'm talking back in the years, they look for opportunities to stay some more time in the US. But you
Yeah,
moved back to your home country.
that's
So how?
true.
So usually I ask people, how was the transition from your home country to a foreign land? In your case, how was the transition from a foreign land to back to your home country for your first job?
It was quite interesting because I felt like it was a lot of reverse culture shock because I
Mm,
left Indonesia when I was 18
mm,
and I came back when I was 30. And a lot of things changed during that time.
mm,
But a lot of things did not change. And I was so used to living in the US for 11 years, coming back
mm.
and having to go through the traffic jam. So traffic jam has been around all along.
All right.
So it's not something new. Traffic jam has been around all along. Commuting to work and working in Indonesia. But I think the benefit was that because I worked for an American company and with an American background, working in an American company, the transition was not so bad because the way of thinking how P&G
Mm,
is, I mean, you would know, right,
yeah.
is very American. So wherever you are, whether you're in Indonesia or you're in India, it is still an American company. So I think the reverse culture shock was more for living it's in a way it's like living in your own country, but you feel foreign because you haven't been living there for a while.
So maybe the best of both the worlds. You're working in an MNC, an American company, but yet the comfort of your own country.
I don't know if I would call it comfort at the time because I was frustrated.
Yeah. Okay. Let's fast forward. After 21 years of working with Procter& Gamble, you joined a local pharma chain here called Kimia Pharma.
Yes, it
How
was.
was that shift? And what made you say that, okay, I want to pursue this next chapter?
So Kimia Pharma is a state-owned enterprise. It's a state-owned company.
Hmm.
And it is in a way the largest company. It has end-to-end network, everything from APIs to pharmacy distribution, lab clinics, etc. Ever since I went to the US when I was 18, I always thought that, okay, one day I will come back,
Hmm.
and I want to try and help the country, because I felt that, okay, I have studied abroad. I feel I have a lot of knowledge that I can share. I
Hmm.
have a lot of experience in the corporate world,
Hmm.
working 21 years in P&G. So I felt, okay, when this offer came up to join Kimia Pharma, I said, you know what? I think this is my chance to actually give back to my country. I know it sounds cliche, but that was something that I thought at the time, that I think this is a chance where I can help my country. I can help transform, and I can put my knowledge to work in a way. And it came at the same time when my son was going to college. So he finished his high school in Geneva, and he was going to college in the UK. So I
Hmm.
said, okay, I think this is the right time for me to make a career change
Hmm.
and do something drastic. Because drastic, I say, because it's like I've never worked for an Indonesian company
Yeah.
at all, let alone a state-owned company. And I've never worked with an Indonesian, setting, because everything in PNG when I was in Indonesia before, it was an American
Hmm.
company, American setup. So I said, okay, I'll take this challenge, and that's where I am today.
But was there ever a moment in Kimia, or maybe in the beginning years, where you felt I have taken this decision, may not be the right decision? And, the ride was tough.
Well, it is tough, I have to say, because my the assignment that was given. So when
Hmm.
I got this offer, because I got a call and I was asked, Jasmine, would you like to help the country?
Hmm.
And when you get a call like that, you're like, of course, I'm Indonesian, never thought about changing my nationality. And
Yeah.
I get a call and ask whether I want to help the country. I would say, of course, yes.
Hmm.
Um, I don't think I regretted anything about moving back, because I think this is one of the best experience I have had also,
Okay.
and helping to transform. But obviously, the challenges are different, I would have to say, than
Hmm.
working in a multinational, because it's an Indonesian company, it's a state-owned company. So I think there's bureaucracy, there's a lot of transformation that needs to be done. And we were trying to get all the state-owned companies transform during the previous president, and now carries over to this president. So a lot of transformation is happening.
Okay.
And the government has been taking people, so diaspora from abroad, to come back to Indonesia to actually help, in a way, rebuild or transform the country. So I was one of them that was being taken back.
Very interesting, huh? When you join Kimia Pharma, and like you said, you to navigate through the bureaucracy and stuff, which is very different from MNC setup. I
Yes.
mean, it also has its own share of bureaucracy, but it's very different compared to a state-owned company.
Mhm.
What parts of PNG experience helped hit the ground running at Kimia Pharma?
I think one is PNG care for their employees, care for the people.
Hmm.
Their motto, I think, ever since I've left, I think it's still the same. And I think when you were there, it's still the same. It's
Hmm.
touching life, improving lives.
Yeah.
That
Hmm.
is one thing that I carried on with me, because I think that is something that we need for transformation, is to have the people also want to transform with us, and with a leader that would understand them, understand what's going on, and how they can help, help the employees to transform, or help the company to transform. So one is that, and second is how we lead, how we lead. And in PNG, we lead with the heart, right? And so
Hmm.
that leadership is what I try to bring to my team, to the organization. And third is the processes. The processes in PNG is quite structured. And as we do transformation here, is I'm trying to bring that in, how we can get more structure, how we can get more organized in our processes so that things would move faster. Because one of the things that I heard when I came in was that, oh, if we have to deal with a state-owned enterprise, everything takes so long. Everything takes so long to do, so long to even for contracts, everything. But so those processes I tried to get into place so that we can move faster as a company.
Right. So you move from a FMCG to a pharma industry, and you've got immense learnings in both the industries now. So, what is something that people usually misunderstand about working in a pharma sector?
Well, people think that we can make drugs like we make a cake. You can buy the ingredients today and it'll be done tomorrow. Um, it doesn't happen that way. In the pharma company, um, things move slower because it's a requirement where your product has to be definitely stable. You have to have good clinical studies. If you don't, you have to repeat the clinical studies. So things move a bit slower because of a reason to ensure the quality of the product, to ensure safety and efficacy of the product, right? Whereas in a FMCG, you might not need to do all that, uh, in a certain period of time. So, for example, you might not need a 12-month stability. You can do with 3 month, for example.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
things like this, where coming in from FMCG, you go into pharma, it's like, yeah, I want to launch this product like next
Yeah.
month. And like,
Hmm.
not so not so fast.
Right. What are some things that you had to unlearn to fit well into the Kimia Farma?
That's an interesting question. I maybe I won't say unlearn, but things that I won't or I don't do or I have to do.
Hmm.
So, for example, working in a state-owned company, especially, you don't call people by name. So I won't call you Neha, I would call you Bu Neha, right? That's some of the things that I had to get used to because in P&G, we even call the CEO by their first name, and that's not a problem.
Hmm.
Um, and then some of the things that, I would normally do in P&G where, we get, we have a meeting, we have a decision that gets implemented. I don't really need to think because there are people that are supposed to work on that. And we know that by a certain time, there would be an update. um, Things that I have to get used to. Okay, I have to keep asking, or I
Hmm.
have to ensure that it gets done. I have to not micromanage, but more like ensure that the process is there or they are following the process, right? Because sometimes things get slower than than what it should be. So I think it's getting used to these things where I had to, if the word is unlearn a habit of, yeah, okay, I say something, it'll get done. It's more like,
Hmm.
okay, I need to ensure it gets done by following through the process.
All right. Jasmine, I read that you've helped launch from aesthetic clinics to TB scan kits to stem cell innovations. I want to understand a bit about these projects and what's been the most exciting for you.
Yeah, so it's more of a diversification of the Kimia Pharma business. So Kimia Pharma is a generic company, been around 200 years, right?
Hmm.
So it's how you diversify other than marketing or selling just medicines.
Hmm.
So the one of the things was going into an aesthetic clinic where we actually still have the quality, the safety, the efficacy of all the products in Kimia Pharma, but it's more in terms of services that we apply for aesthetic reasons like Botox or like, laser, those
Hmm.
kind of things. And then for stem cell, I think it's more like a new innovation. It's like this new technology that everybody's looking at. And
Hmm.
actually, in Kimia Pharma, they started since 2012. So it's been like
Hmm.
13 years already. So it's more on now we are at the stage as commercializing it, trying to make it more known to the public because now everywhere you see in Jakarta, there's a lot of these stem cells clinics. But in
Hmm.
reality, is that Kimia Pharma was one of the pioneers for that actually. And then obviously then we have the TB kits, which is actually one of the first. It's the first kit in the world that actually can detect tuberculosis externally and internally in the lungs. So it's actually quite a very good diagnostic kit that you have to inject. I mean, it has to be injected in you, and then you measure it with a PET scan. So it's like several things that we're trying to do, how we can keep current, how we can keep with the innovation being a generic company.
Right.
I think for me, everything is interesting, right? Everything is new. I mean, I work with shampoos and I work with cough syrups before, and then coming into pharma, everything is like a new toy, you know? It's like you work with everything that feels different, and that makes it very exciting.
Yeah, and just look at the vastness of it, like shampoos at one hand, which of course also has science behind it and
Mhm.
formulation and
Mhm.
especially head and shoulders and all. But on the other hand, you're into stem cells banking and stem cells innovation, which is like, oh my God.
Yeah.
And even the TB scan, can a person do their its own TB scan at home and then take the results for this scan, or you still have to go to a lab?
You still have to go to the hospital for that. So you still have to have diagnosis done by the doctor. It's not something that you can do at home. But what we're trying to do is have something that's end to end. So we have a comprehensive diagnostic therapy, and then we have the therapy for the tuberculosis, and then we have the post, right? So, yeah, so you still have to go to the doctors. But I think our aim was to make it more comprehensive
Hmm.
so that we can detect, because TB, interesting enough, is one of the top three cause of deaths in Indonesia. So it's
Oh.
still that, yeah. So the Ministry of Health has a program, um, and their focus until 2030 is basically, it's called ATM. So it's AIDS, HIV, AIDS, it's tuberculosis, and it's malaria. So those are the top three, and TB and AIDS is still the number one. The first top two cause of deaths in Indonesia.
Jasmine, you've had a fair share of international career. And then you came back, right? So what advice would you give for young Indonesians, or let's just say Southeast Asians who dream of an international career?
Don't be shocked when you go home. No, just kidding. Um, I think for me, I never planned to have an international career because I was in the US. Yeah, I mean, in the beginning of our talk, right? I was in the US and I always thought I was going to be in the US, and I didn't think I was going to come back. But
Hmm.
I mean, having an international career is not as easy, and you could probably say this too. It's not as easy and as glamorous, so to speak, as people would think.
Yeah.
There's the culture shock that comes with it,
Hmm.
and obviously the adjusting to different companies, if it's different company, or to even the different cultures in that country. But I think if someone aspires to go and have an international career, by all means, I would say go for it. And if
Hmm.
that chance comes to you, take it, because it might not come again. And I think I hear a lot when I talk to some of the young generation. Oh, I'm afraid. What will happen there? How will I adapt? You know what?
Hmm.
We will always adapt, and we will always find ways to adapt. And I heard also that, oh, you know what? I'm gonna work for this and this company. I don't know how I'll fit in. We will always
Hmm.
have a way to fit in, right? Especially if we are outgoing and we are determined to lead, and and have a lot of ownership. I'm sure we'll
Hmm.
be able to adapt. So my advice, if there's an opportunity, take it.
Hmm.
Don't be afraid. Um, Whichever country, don't be afraid to step in and take the role if you're really interested and excited, because
Hmm.
you'll experience a lot, you will learn a lot, and you will take that learning to your next assignment or next job when it comes along.
Great advice, Jasmine. Thank you. Have you ever had to face gender bias?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
and how did you deal with it?
Yeah, this is a tough question because there are some industries where it is more a male dominated industry, and then you suddenly realize you're the only lady, you're the only woman in the room. And then you realize that from their boy talk, right? Sometimes they're chatting about something. You enter the room and then you realize that suddenly everybody is quiet
Yeah.
because a woman has entered the room.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that you should go to that level and and talk like the boys do, but I think it's just just be professional, and that's what I try to do. I'm just being professional, bring my work to the table, discuss the work matters, and show my capability in the topic or the subject, because I think one of the things that there's this gender bias is that, oh, she's a mom, she has a child, she's not flexible, she cannot travel. Yes, there are times when I would say, I'm sorry, I have to take care of my son and I can't go. But then there are other things that I would say, I can't go, but I can join via video call, or I can give my input, or my team can go on behalf of me. Obviously, I can't do that often, but if that has to happen, I do have to have that balance between my work and my life. And um, I think it's really important that to have that seat on the table, and to ensure that the bias usually comes that, oh yeah, she's a woman, she doesn't know what she's talking about, is to ensure that, yes, you have clarity in your speech, you show your leadership, and you show your commitment to the work.
Wow. And what do you say to women who feel like that they have to act tougher to lead?
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's just have confidence, because sometimes you're the one that knows your work the best. The others would probably know on the surface, but you're the one doing the work. So have confidence in your work, and show your leadership. You don't have to be tough, like look tough, or seem tough or act tough. You can be very soft spoken, but if you talk with with determination, you show your leadership, your strength during your when you talk, and show off your capability, and it's all data driven, database. You know what? That's tough, and people can't argue with.
Wow. Jasmine, you wear many hats. You're a leader, you're a scientist, you're an innovator. How do you just keep it all together?
Work-life balance.
Any
um,
tips on how to maintain that work-life balance?
Yeah, so I take on hobbies. I have several hobbies, and I try as much as possible to go to my hobbies when I feel really tired at work, or I need a break or anything like that. Um, Although I love to travel, but it doesn't mean that I can travel a lot, right? Because travel needs time and it needs money, and you have to make plans. But I love to bake. So I bake, I do like these pretty cupcakes and things like that. I love to do that. And then I also love to DJ.
Oh, very exciting.
I started DJing when I was in the US. It was more like a hobby that I had, listening to music. Then I saw a friend of mine, a brother of my friend,
Hmm.
DJing, and I said, "Hey, can you teach me? It seems very interesting." So he taught me how to DJ, and then I ended up buying my own equipment, and then I was DJing for fun. And then I joined there was a competition for DJs in San Francisco, and I participated in the competition. I got second
Wow.
place, and then I got gigs.
Wow. So from a professional baker to DJing and a scientist.
That makes it balanced now.
Yeah. Before we wrap up this fun conversation, I have one last question. So if you weren't doing this biotech, pharma, or innovation, what would your dream job be?
I would be an archaeologist. I love history. I would love to be an archaeologist.
Yeah.
And I would love to go into these old sites and, excavate, and do all that kind of stuff.
Wow, Jasmine. I mean, you wear so many hats. You're multi-talented, vibrant side of yours, and how beautifully you balance it all is very charming.
Thank you so much, Neha. That's a pleasure. I mean, it's a very nice compliment.
No, no, the pleasure is all ours. Thank you so much, Jasmine, for taking out the time to be with us.
Having me.
And this is going to be a very fun conversation. I'm sure listeners would also enjoy. how one can really balance multiple things and not in the same genre necessary. So so that's really, really exciting. Thank you once again, Jasmine, to be on Durian Dreaming.
Thank you for having me, Neha.
And that's a wrap for this episode of Durian Dreaming. I hope today's discussion sparked some new ideas for you. Don't forget to subscribe, share your thoughts, and stay tuned for more exciting stories. Until next time, keep dreaming big.